Father, we thank you for all of the many ways that you bless us in this country and in this town, for everything that you do for us. Father, we pray that you would be with us tonight, give us wisdom, and guide us in everything that we do. We also pray that you would be with our law enforcement all over the country, the state, and in this city. We pray that you would be with the families that have lost family members in the recent shootings, and that you would comfort them and just be with them in every way. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
I will gladly put Uncle Sam on the right. Yeah, he's on the right. We'll put Sam on the top. And that's because of this.
Well, then you can lose the American.
All right, we're just doing a little emergency repairs. Somebody did a little housekeeping. Okay. Now I'll do the right turn. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dylan. I do have one public comment here, but Rodney May. Rodney?
Yeah. I'm here as a very concerned citizen about our code enforcement and how we're doing things. I'm trying to improve my property, where my taxes go up, my neighborhood a little better, and I've been informed that I just need to tear my garage down and start over. I did not get a permit on Thursday when I started it about a month ago, but I went the very next morning to get one, and I was informed, tear it down. You know, no working with me, no nothing. They can't tell me outside it's code. Why, what the problem is, am I endangering anybody, am I doing anything? All they tell me is it's code. And, you know, I just think it's wrong whenever somebody's trying to improve their property, raise their taxes, because it will do that, make your neighborhood look nicer and stuff, and our code enforcement is willing to, you know, keep us from doing that kind of stuff. I tried to work with them, ask them to find me, do whatever they needed to do. I'll donate $1,000, but these guys are not willing to work with anybody. But I'm just very disappointed in our city manager and our code enforcement people.
Well, I don't know what the violations are. We obviously can't discuss that at this time. We will look into it, I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah.
But they are following the instructions that the commission has passed. If we need to look at that and change something, we'll sure do that.
Well, here's another issue. I can throw a rock right across to the city yard where y'all moved the red building in, and you broke all the codes when you did that. You moved it in from Ringing Lake, put it right against the fence. I mean, it's got to be, if you're going to do that for the city, shouldn't I be able to do the same thing?
Let us look into it. I'll get back with you.
Okay. I appreciate y'all.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. What kind of structure did you build out there exactly? Well, what was the circumstance? I just want to know for sure.
You know what? It's a two-car carport, no sides on it, just to protect my property, make my value of my home go up, make the neighborhood look nicer, and I'm off the road a good 13, 14 foot. I'm in my property line, inside my fence line and everything. I live 2 blocks down here. You can hang around on Halvine and see it. Ted lives there.
Right next door.
And there's absolutely no reason that I'm going through this.
I have no problem.
You have no problem with it, okay?
Yeah, it's a nice.
Do you have a garage that you can park your vehicle in?
I do right now, yeah. But I've just bought a pontoon boat, and I've got a company vehicle also. And I was just trying to, you know, make it look nicer and stuff. But there's absolutely no reason that citizens should have to put through what they're being put through by a couple of these gentlemen.
Well, these guys are doing their job. Let us look into it.
Well, that's what, I know I've really studied the codes. And
Some of the problems is that some of the codes are on the books, and that's what some of the problems are.
Yeah, and they just don't fit this little town. I mean, sometimes we need to use our common sense. We need to go look at this stuff. We need to say, this man ain't hurting a thing. He's making his community look better and stuff. But the last place I want to be is up here complaining. I mean, that's not something I want to be doing. But I'm gonna stand up for this, whether I win it or lose it, and I'm gonna spend the rest of my life speaking up for people in this town that are getting jerked around like this. There's several people that's come to the store and talked to me and said, I'd love to build me a carport, but Mr. Dolan won't let me, you know.
He's following code, we need to address the code.
You know what, code, Larry?
I said, let me address the code.
Yeah.
Let us
Okay, because I paid my $150, so I can go before a board, 4 board members from what I understand. And, you know, you guys ought to be able to make this decision.
We've got a process.
Yeah, well, you're gonna put 4 other citizens in a position to have to make what I would call an easy decision. But, and I thought the city manager should have been able to fix this immediately. We pay him good money to fix our problems here.
I'll reiterate, we can't
Yeah.
discuss it now, so we've got to get the details, and I will follow up with you.
Hey, thank y'all. Then I welcome anybody to come over and look at it. Tell me if I'm doing something wrong.
Thank you.
Tell me if this is good or bad for our community. Okay?
Thank you, Ronnie, appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Approved minutes of the June 20th meeting. I've got a copy of those.
I move that we approve.
A motion from John to approve the minutes.
I will abstain.
Got an abstain from Richard.
I'll second the minutes.
Zach has made a
You're
second.
abstaining.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion about the minutes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Financial report.
I put your redone, debt service thing on your.
Okay. See if I added it up right. That's close like that. That's okay again. What I asked Leslie to fix was the subtotal line on that extra sheet you have. You kind of had it in an unusual format.
Well, I didn't give everybody one, because,
Oh, you did? Okay.
no, because
Well, she fixed the subtotal line. You'll get this from now on with the subtotal on each
it's on
one
the
of these
debt
columns.
service balance, so.
Makes it easier to read,
Well, just,
grasp where everything is.
yeah. Well, I'll get this one.
Well, I didn't change mine, but I've redone it for there's a subtotal here and down here.
Anybody have any questions, comments about the financial report from Leslie?
On the checks written on page 9, just curiosity, what are all the $30 and $150 pool refunds?
Well, the $30 ones are the refunds that we were giving people because the big slide wasn't working. They had booked a party and they had to pay full price and we didn't feel like that was fair since
Yes.
the big slide wasn't working. And then on the $150 one, one lady canceled and one had to be canceled like 30 minutes before her party due to a vehicle incident at the pool.
Okay.
There actually was a problem with a sick child in the pool, and the pool had to be sanitized.
Yes, sir. Okay.
And it was no fault of anybody's other than the child had a problem.
Yes, sir. Okay.
And it was the right thing to do.
Right. Thank you.
Any other questions on the financial report? Thank you, Leslie. All right, the Board of City Commissioners discuss and take action on the following agenda items. Number 1, discuss, consider, approve a resolution 2016-12, authorizing submission of the Texas Community Development Block Grant Program application.
Judy's here to talk about it. Judy Langford is representing the EDI on this project along with Eastland Memorial Hospital. Judy.
Thank you, Ron. Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening, Mayor. We were here the other night and did a public hearing for this application, and said we'd come back and talk to you about the resolution and then the memorandum of understanding. So Ted's here from the hospital to answer any questions, and we're here to present the application as far as moving forward with it. It's a $500,000 application for community enhancement funds, which is meant to help cities do enhancing things, which this is a perfect one since the county does not, and the city do not have a rural health clinic. And rural health clinics was one of the focuses of what the agency wanted to see apply for. There's quite a bit of money coming in from the hospital, and so I think is a really great project for the city and a rural health clinic to come to the city. I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Get it done.
Okay?
Best thing I know, I just love it. We can pull that off and get that done. That's just another feather in our cap. Thank y'all for moving forward to get that done. That's pretty neat. Resolution 2016-12, resolution of the City Commission of Eastland, Texas, authorizing the submission of a Texas Community Development Block Grant Program application to the Texas Department of Agriculture for the Community Enhancement Fund, and authorize the mayor and/or the city manager to act as the city executive officer and authorize representatives in all matters pertaining to the city participation in this Texas Community Development Block Grant Program. So, there you have it. We want to move forward with it. That's right.
I move we pass resolution 2016-12.
Got a motion from Richard and a second from Frank to pass resolution 2016-12. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Number 2 is discuss and consider approval of memorandum of understanding between the city of Eastland and the Eastland Memorial Hospital District. This is related to what we just did.
And,
Well, and the agency, they didn't completely define what a strong partnership was, but a strong partnership is more than just a letter agreement between the entity and the partner for the application. And they said that the memorandum of understanding is a very strong showing that both the hospital and the city are very much partnering on this. And so we put together a memorandum of understanding that it still has areas that as we get a little closer and funding occurs to work out some of the specifics, but this will cover some of the more basic parts of an agreement between the city and the hospital. Do you want to go over a little bit that the boards this week?
Sure. We have our board meeting this Thursday. We'll be presenting the identical memorandum of understanding for signature. This is a project that is we're anticipating. It's about a 6,700 square foot clinic, so it's going to be somewhere around 1.3 or 1.4 million dollars. And then from that point, we'll have to furnish it and all. So we anticipate total outlay somewhere around $1.8 to $2 million. And so this $500,000 grant is critical to that construction and that project. We're working with the Economic Development Board, and they're providing this land for us and site costs. So we're ready to move forward contingent upon this grant.
Ron, have you read through this
Yes, sir.
agreement? Do you see anything?
No, it's
out
a
of the
very,
agreement for a
very,
strong partnership?
it is a very straightforward document.
Fairly
And-
generic. Ron and I have spent some time
We
together.
went over it a couple of times, and it's a very straightforward document. Basically, the hospital stipulating that it's going to pay the expenses related to the match, and that when the property transfers hands after completion, that the hospital will maintain it for the intended purpose for the minimum of 10 years, which is required by the statute and by the program. So I just think this is this memorandum of understanding is perfect for what it's intended to do.
And we appreciate the city because we cannot be the applicant on this.
Now, the city has to, it has to be a government entity.
Yeah.
And that's it's very similar to what we did when we did the program for the dome, for the safe room. The school district could step forward to do that. It had to be a city, it had to be the city itself. And this is similar that block development grants are for municipalities and counties to apply, and that in order for the hospital district to participate, they have to use us as a middleman.
And we appreciate your consideration.
Yeah.
But it'll be an outstanding service for the
I
county.
make a motion to accept this memorandum of understanding.
Got a motion from Zach to accept this between the City of Eastland and Eastern Memorial Hospital District, and a second from Richard. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I've excused Judy to let her go get back to Austin, so Judy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be careful on the road, Judy.
Judy?
Are you gonna need the original on the resolution, or do you need it?
I can get it from you on Monday, if that's okay.
I gotta be in town on Monday.
Okay.
That's all right? Thank you, I appreciate it.
Be safe, Judy.
Thank you.
Do you need me for anything?
Yes, what you say, yes.
Okay.
When you get out.
Thank you, Judy. Item for discussion, consideration to approve the first reading of ordinance 16-814, setting an annexation public hearing.
And, Bill, I believe you're up.
Well, this is the annexation on Highway 6 that we had discussed at our last meeting. And basically, this ordinance sets two public hearings, one on August 22nd. That will be a call meeting. It'll be the week after your regular meeting, and that will be at 6 p.m. And then the second public hearing will be August the 23rd at 12 noon. This will be a public hearing when we'll have interested property owners come before the board and discuss any issues that they may have with this annexation.
And all the commissioners have this little calendar in this packet. Be sure to fill that out so you keep up with the annexation and the budget meetings, or you may need it. Okay. In order to set the date, time, place for public hearings on the proposed annexation of a certain property by the city of Eastland, Texas, authorizing and directing the chairman of the board of commissioners to publish notice of such public hearings. And the bill stated as August 22nd at 6 p.m., August 23rd at noon. This is ordinance 16-814.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve ordinance number 16-814.
A motion from John. Second. Second from Richard. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Number 4, discuss and consider approval resolution 2016-11, authorizing continued participation of the Atmos City Steering Committee and authorizing payment.
And the Atlas, or the Atmos City Steering Committee is an organization that we've been participating in for several years now. They actually represent all the cities on the list, and it's about a page and a half of cities, but they've got them all plugged together on that one page, and it's 168 cities, and the cost of membership is 25 cents per capita, which for our purposes is only a few $100s, and
How much per capita?
25 cents per capita.
That's not 25 cents.
2.5.
No, that's 2.5 cents, I'm sorry. That's 2.5 cents per capita. And no, it only amounts to a very minor
I know, I didn't
fee.
get
And, well caught. But as I was saying, before I screwed that up, with only 2.5 cents per capita, it works out very well for our citizens, because they represent us in rate hearings that deal with gas increases. And if you look at the past year, and the fact that we've had several issues where it called for either study, negotiation, or possible litigation, they've stepped up to the plate. And I recommend the City Commission approve continuing membership in the steering committee.
Resolution 2016-11, resolution authorizing continued participation of the Atmos City Steering Committee and authorizing payment of 2.5 cents per capita to the Atmos City Steering Committee to fund regulatory and related activities related to Atmos Energy Corporation.
Make a motion, we accept this resolution.
Second motion from Zach and a second from, is that Richard?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Motion from Zach and second from Richard to discuss the resolution 2016-11. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Eastland Development Incorporated, annual review by Jerry Connor.
Knowing that y'all have other things on your agenda, I'll try to make it through this presentation as quick as possible. I told the Lions Club it would take 45 minutes, so I don't think we've got that long, right, Ted? We can get the lights. There's two, what you see up here is not going to be exactly what is on your desk, so as we go along, keep up with the pages on your desk, because that's what I'll actually be talking off of. Greetings from the Eastland Board of Directors, the EEDI Board of Directors. The main thing is the main thing is the main thing. The EEDI bylaws say to provide a progress report to the City of Eastland Commissioners of the previously approved program of work, what you've already approved, the budget, and inform of any updates. So that's what we have in this presentation. On your desk, you have a list of the different entities in the community that do economic development. Real quickly, it was in 1969 when I drove to East through Eastland in my SS 396 to go to college at Alabama Christian University. I guess I've been through Eastland in college at least 100 times. And every time I drove through Eastland, I would stop me here. Every time I drove through, I say, this town ain't gonna survive. It's not gonna be around in 20 years, 30 years. Then I went through Cisco and on down the road. I know Belle Plains, a town that used to be a decent sized community, and it's gone now. So I was concerned about that. Luckily, that's not happened here. Luckily, we've had sustainability here, and that's what Tom Crowder talked about last year in his annual report, is that the key goal in economic development is sustainability. A famous Dallas developer was asked, what's the key to economic development? He said, keep the dirt turning. And that's what we've attempted to do, and I think as you go through this presentation, you'll see that that's what we have done. So we'll go down to the next page. We have a computer glitch, so I brought this up several times. I just want you to know what the main thing is. We have, on a national level, received $1 million for our industrial park. We've developed it. It's got all utilities. On a local level, entering the higher education, which is the LVN school, which Ted is going to speak about in just a second, and a $1.5 million dialysis center. On a state level and a regional level, a $1 million TxDOT airport terminal, and other infrastructure grants that we've received from TxDOT. If you look down the right-hand corner, these are things the Chamber has done for this community. The last award that we got back in, what was it, 12, was that we received $2,500 and gave that money to the old Toads so they could spend it downtown for development. So we've been a very dynamic community in this West Texas region, and I think it shows when we drive through the community. So the goal is keep the dirt turning. A lot of people forget that this has happened because it's off in the distance. Vulcan Materials is undertaking expansion at this current time. It's creating jobs and opportunity for Eastlandites. The project of the Eastland Industrial Foundation, $20 million expansion, 4.7 mile rail expansion, 30 to 40 new employees will probably be hired as a result of this. Credit goes to Mike Perry in the Industrial Foundation. If you look at Mike, he's about 20 years older than he was 2 years ago because he has really sweated this thing out, and it was quite an ordeal to take care of this expansion for all included. And Mike spoke for the Industrial Foundation and did an excellent job for us. Go to the next one. We've talked to you recently about this project. It's over a $3 million investment in the community, over 30 additional jobs, including insurance benefits. McLaw Ventures is a large Burger King franchisee, and this will have a Burger King in it. They will have a large covered area for automobiles and trucks, gasoline. Now, once again, it's a travel center, it's not necessarily a truck stop, but they're gonna also serve trucks. They'll have an indoor cafe, a country cafe, similar to what is at Red Star right now, but they'll also have a Burger King operating in the facility, a drive-up window for the Burger King, and then a C-store, a convenience store in that facility. And there's another picture of they want to keep it old time. They like the Red Star history. They want to keep that Red Star, especially since it's in Mexico, keep that venue. We're in the process of, and we're not quite there yet, of developing an air park in Eastland. The air park is at the Eastland Municipal Airport. The air park will serve, hopefully we will be able to market that to air-related businesses. These are businesses that may do aircraft refurbishing. These are businesses that may build aircraft engines, businesses that are related to the air. We've done several things that we'll talk about here in the future, but the thing you need to know is that the Industrial Foundation owns this side, EEDI owns this side, and we all want to improve this whole area, and we are going to do several projects relating to that in the future, and we're in the process of that. Of course, you know about the terminal, Eastland's front door of the community. We're very proud of it. There's not another one like it anywhere around, and won't be. So we're very pleased with it. Once again, the Industrial Foundation stepped up to the plate, and they offered to furnish the facility. So if you look at the furnishings inside the facility, they're very comfortable. They're very sleek. It's just a really comfortable facility to be in. If you go out there and sit down for a few minutes, you'll realize how, and this is a community room where anyone in the community can go in and meet in that room. I'm not sure, Ron, if the city is drawing up rent or anything like that for other organizations. I know the nonprofits have already been meeting there without any fee, I think. So we want this terminal to be used by the community. Upstairs is basically built for the pilots. You'll see large recliners down on the end down there, and you'll see a meeting table right there where pilots can meet in groups, or in bad weather, they can just park their plane and go upstairs and sleep if they want to. This is the pilot planning room, which we've gotten raves about, by the way, Ron. A lot of the aircraft that have flown into the terminal and gone into the terminal, the pilots say, man, the planning room is fantastic, that they really like that. You can actually see out, you see the windows, there's another window that actually looks out over the airport. That one looks down on, I guess that would be the north side, Ron? Yeah, the north side of the airport. The next thing that's just been done that we're very proud of is that we built covered parking out at the airport. And this is all done out of 50% money. We pay 50% and TxDOT Aviation pays 50%. And this thing's already full is our problem. So I told Ron I'm very seriously want to build another one. The question is right now is where do we put it and how do we want it accessed? Luckily, when they built the terminal, the hard surface was already there. If we build another one, we're not sure where we're going to have hard surface at. So it really illuminates the area at night. And those are LED lights, state of the art. Mike Teese put those in and just did a great job. Next slide. Let's talk about the future of the airport. If you're on that page, there'll be additional covered parking, I hope. We're going to remodel the airport main hangar. The AWAS is in process, the automated weather observing system. It is in the process right now. Ron, it's at the FAA for approval now. Yes, sir. The FAA's got to approve the location and our frequency that we use on that tower. We're going to do an 8-foot game fence. That'll be next. The AWAS is immediate. We're hoping we can get it in by the end of the year. The 8-foot game fence is next year, and the parallel taxiways will be the year after. There's been one more item added out of the discussion with me and Ron, and if you look back on your points, we want to take a close look at exits on the interstate. Ron thinks, and I believe something can be done there, that we could talk somebody into putting together. Weatherford's been very successful at that. Ron's going to follow up with Weatherford and see how they did it, how much it cost them. But we'd like to get another exit or two on the interstate, and maybe change one exit. So, those things we're working on there.
We're actually looking at the option of trying to get another ramp at 343, so that extended space down the frontage road is a dead space. Right. Instead of going to a dead end, have another ramp. And if we did that, then that would open up a lot of marketable property for use that right now we don't have enough frontage.
Right. I'm going to go, I know that y'all heard about this, and I don't know if all y'all were here at the last meeting. I want to talk about it one more time because I'm so proud of it. This is the thing I'm most proud of that Ted and you have done here, is negotiated for AirVac and built the dialysis center. And Ted, I'll let you tell your little story again, just for those that don't know it about the lady, and then we'll move on.
Okay, as you know, in dialysis, you're required to take 3 treatments a week. So every other day you would go, and each treatment's about a 4-hour treatment. So our community was having to, in some fashion, get to Abilene. So there was an hour, there'd be a 4-hour treatment, then about an hour of downtime, and then getting back. And so if you're on dialysis, it was pretty much an all-day event for you. And we had 2 problems. One was how do you get there, and then the other means was that dialysis patients from family members were taking them. It was jeopardizing their job situations, etc. As you know, the community came together, and it's just one of those projects as a community we got to work on, which has had incredible outcome. And when we built the dialysis, right now it's a 12-chair dialysis facility. We have somewhere around 35 or so patients that are participating in the dialysis treatments out there. After we had built it, this dialysis patient came to our office, brought us flour tortillas, and just as a token of her appreciation, and wanted everyone to know how much it meant to her. Because literally, I mean, she can just drive out there now, can take a treatment, can be back home by noon. And whereas before, it would be 7 o'clock at night before she was able to get back home. So, just a great story, and again, I appreciate, as you know,
I like to quote Ted, she gave all she had to give on this.
She did.
Yeah.
She did.
And that really makes me feel good when I hear that story. So,
great.
Ted, talk about your Ranger College program.
Our Ranger College, we work with Dr. Campion. We clinical rotation of the nurses at our facility on the education, on their LVN and RN pursuits. We had over 100 students at our last meeting. A number of those will come through our hospital. Great opportunity for us because we're able to kind of handpick those LVNs and RNs and offer them jobs at our facility. They're also working with the physicians and home health agencies, nursing homes, etc. So that program has just worked out really well for us.
Thank you. The next slide is going to be several years ago, several people like HV and Jim Fair got together in this town and figured out a way to purchase Camp Inspiration. This didn't just happen luckily. It was a lot of hard work, as I remember. And so Camp Inspiration bought. The board of directors of the EDI had a study done and decided that area needed to be a medical professional area. And as of today, that's exactly what it's becoming. We've got the dialysis center there, and some other developments getting ready to take place. If you go to the next page, I'm going to let Kat say something about the rural health clinic real quick.
Okay, a couple of things on our dialysis center, and I'm working with Mr. Dolan on that. Right now, it's about 3,100 or so square feet, I believe, and they're in the process of expanding that. We're going to be adding, at one time, about 600 square feet. They have changed that. We're having meetings Wednesday, and we anticipate that being about an additional 1,000 square feet. So that facility continues to grow. This is where we are right here, right up in this area. It'll still be 12 chairs. They'll be adding this on and this on right there. And that'll be a storage area for all of the reagents and all. This is more of the filtration system, and then a break room for the employees. I'm well aware of the two
trash cans.
Containers out in front of the dialysis center. As soon as this is completed, those will be removed. And again, I appreciate the city. I know those are not supposed to be there, and just as soon as we finish this project, we'll take.
So previously, they were expanding 600 square feet, now it's 1,000 square.
Now we're roughly
Roughly
at 1,000 square feet. U.S. Renal, a large international dialysis firm that operates that facility out there. And so we haven't actually seen the new architectural plans. I'll get to take a look at those Wednesday. As soon as I do, I'll send them to Bill and Jerry, and we'll see where we go with that.
How many patients are you treating at that facility?
Right now, about somewhere around 33 or so, 34 actually. We're still at 3 days a week. They start about, the nurses get there around 4:30 or 5 of the morning. They can run 3 shifts. So it's kind of a breakover. As that grows, then we have to switch over and pick up the other 3 days. So right now, we're able to meet all of that demand in 3 days.
Yeah, you want to go and talk about your
Our rural health clinic, can you back up to that other slide?
Go back to the other one?
Yeah, that you were, right here.
Yeah.
This, of course, this is our 6,700 square foot rural health clinic that we'd like to build, and of course, a couple of contingencies. Obviously, the grant is going to be huge for us. And then we have to see at that point strategically, our hospital board, where we are, do we have the funds?
It's right next to the dialysis center.
Here's the dialysis center right here. This would sit right here, and then we have future plans for that area right there.
Right.
This is, it's very nice. It'll fit in. You'll pull right here. You can drop off a vertical chair right there. It'll be covered that you drop your patients off. 3 providers can operate out of there, and our focus is just to continue to expand care to our community. I mean, we've captured pretty much all of the patients within the county and the adjacent counties, but we want to expand beyond that. It's a great recruitment tool for physicians, residents coming out of training. At one time, wanted to establish a traditional practice where you just go and you take care of not only the medical needs, but you also take care of the business side of it. Well, that has changed. Now residents are not interested in that. They just want to come, and that's fine, doctors, and address the medical needs. So we would actually own this, the hospital. Any new doctors that came would be employees of the hospital. And so they would, that would make a huge access to care need for our community. So we're real excited. We hope we can get this put together. It's a huge undertaking for the hospital.
The Eastland Business Park that I talked about previously, the first company was Airvac. They currently hire 15 employees with $1 million payroll. If you look at on your desk, they were rated number 2 in the state for transport ambulances, and they missed by number 1 by 16 air miles. They would have been number 1 here in Eastland. Okay, they were recently awarded. This is a big award, national award and certification for our air ambulances. They just went through that certification process, and they were awarded a national recognition on that project. So we're very fortunate to have them here in this community.
We would like to get their fixed wing here.
Yes. Once we get the AWAS, then we can promote Eastland as a fixed wing location.
The other item that will really improve that will also be the 8-foot chain fence.
Yes.
Because the 2 things that jet pilots are most concerned with about landing at your airfield is weather and keeping Bambi off the airfield.
Yes.
It's just
Yeah, apparently there's a lot of insurance companies that won't insure planes flying into airfields without fences. So that's another reason why we have to have it. To move on, we're almost done, guys. My problem child, Eastland Supercomputer, they're moving on at very slow speed. They recently signed a long-term, in my opinion, they recently signed a long-term lease with HV, sitting back there, with the Eastland Telegram. They're currently constructing a 3,500 high-tech monitoring facility, which will also have a sound room and will also have a, what do you call it, CT? Studio? Yeah, studio, a production studio. It's a 24-hour operation. The production studio will make commercials, by the way. It's a 24-hour operation. They'll employ about 15 employees. They say that they want to open the production studio in August, and may want to have a public opening for it. But you can see what's taking place in there. This area that you see below is a curved area where large screen TVs will be put in for monitoring purposes. This is your sound room back in here. So it's quite a complex that they're going to go ahead, HC.
Do you know what they're going to monitor?
I cannot answer that.
Can you?
Don't ask, okay? I'm not going to respond, okay, at this point, okay? If you go to the next slide, which is our community website, Terry, you have those? Have we got those? Yeah. The community website, we are in the middle of a huge renovation to the community website. And if you'll just pass those around. Yeah, just go down, yeah. The same, yes. Richard's saying, how am I going to separate all these? Councilman Dark has been working with us and spanking us about what we have to do and not do on this thing, so we've had several meetings with him. I think it's going to be a big upgrade from where we were. We've had that site for over 10 years, and let me say, Zach designed that site. He was the first one to say we have to redo it. So I appreciate that, Zach, his attitude on this. It is really a stunning site. These are only half pages. It's not the full design yet. But it's the concept that we're working with. And Zach, we did change the print on the over to the left. We're still working on that. He wanted that's a little more readable than the last one was. Okay, we like to keep the script because it matches the other design factors in the site. So basically, the information will be the same as what we do right now on our website, but just a lot different way to find it. Budget finance, and this is, I don't have this on the screen. If you look at the chart, I think it's very important to point out, things aren't bad, guys. We and all the other towns have basically capped off for the last couple of years at where we are right now. You can see we're Eastland, we're still the regional purchasing hub in the region. Through July of this year, income amounts to $745,273. It's very possible we could overcome what we did last year, although we're behind right now. I think it's possible, though, that depending on how things go, if it's good Christmas, etc., we could outdo last year. EEDI cash on hand is $296,000. There's a terminal note with First Financial, and the balance is $498,000. We pay it quarterly, and the notes for 7 years, which we've been paying on for roughly a year now. At the end of June, the actual budget will be probably in the positive by at least $29,000. However, we budgeted $32,000 for AWAS, and that's not been spent yet. With that being said, I think we'll be very close to what you have approved for this year's budget. I'm sure there'll be some budget reconciliations, but we're pretty close to being right on budget. And if you have any questions on that, I'm happy to answer. Mayor, that is on an annual. That's a calendar year. He brought that up to me a couple years ago. So, I thought it's good to list the calendar year versus what our fiscal year, just to really show where everything is.
The good news was July, we actually made up some of that ground. We made up $10,000. Instead of adding another 10 to our deficit, we gained some of that back.
So, that said, the main thing, with or without money, communities that work together will succeed, and I think Eastland's one of those communities. Communities that don't are destined to fail. The main thing is to make Eastland a better place to live, work, and play, and I always add, and to make a living. I've said this the last 2 years, and I want to keep saying it. One of the folks on a survey that we did said, the greatest compliment I've heard on Eastland is you folks in Eastland have a wonderful leadership. I can't believe the things your community has accomplished. And a lot of communities around here, they look at us as the leaders, and that feels good. That feels real good. It's all good news. There's work to be done, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great job. Okay. Appreciate y'all doing what you're doing.
Very good. Thank you.
Budget workshop. Turn the rest of the lights on?
Yes, I'll turn the lights on.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Seth, your budget workshop.
Good job. Good.
Those will go in your total. And most of our presentation for tonight, for the budget workshop, will be in enclosure 2 inside the book, section 2. First of all, in conjunction with our calendar, today is our first budget workshop. The second budget workshop is right now is scheduled for noon on Wednesday, the 3rd of August. We're right on sync with our calendar, and we'll go through the capital request after we close some of these other issues. If you go to the third page, you'll get to the my budget notes, and in the budget notes, it's right after the calendar. The first thing on there is the home program. Right now, the home program is actually bearing fruit. We are in the process of, we've actually got 4 viable applicants, one of which only wanted a partial reconstruction, and the other 3 look like complete reconstructions. And right now, those applications were approved. I think they're all in good shape as far as financially qualified. Now, we're in the process of getting their title search completed to determine if there's any liens against the property, because one of the things that has to take place is it has to be clear title. And if there's a problem with the title before anyone is disqualified, they would get the opportunity to clear it up. Once the title issues are taken care of, we will do a physical inspection of the property and grade the properties, and then once that's completed, then we'll be getting to the point of awarding the applicants that are qualified. We've got enough money to do three houses, and we're looking at building all 3. In the intended use plan funding, that is still up in the air. We went through the whole business with EH&T of doing the aerial survey and some of the planning and wastewater treatment plant to give us a stronger application for going to the Texas Water Development Board to seek funding and hopefully get some grant funding in coordination with the intended use plan. Our current intended use plan that was placed before the Texas Water Development Board is still pending, and but we're hoping for this next round to get access to grants in addition to just low interest loans to pursue the next iteration of the wastewater treatment plant. On your Texas Governor's Criminal Justice Division grants, we've actually got 2 complete grants that we believe will be fully funded. The first one will be for the school resource officer. which is $18,515, which is really close to our funding last year. So when we get to looking at the city and the school district share of the 50% of the rest of that cost, not a big increase, very little difference. The other criminal justice grant is for computers for the police department, and we're looking at, in addition to changing out a couple of the computers in the cars, we'll be adding, the chief wants to add printers and some other things in the cars so that the officer can do everything he needs to do before that person leaves the site. And so there's a good plan ahead for using that $13,897. The other grant that we'll have is our law enforcement training grant, which is $1,164. And then the chief has also requested to the Department of Justice a grant for 2 new vehicles. If that's approved, then you'll see in the capital outlays and the capital request where we're looking at matching. Right now, we don't know what we don't know about those 2 grant requests. The SRO, the computers, and the law enforcement training grants are all in the bag, virtually. As far as ad valorem taxes, in this budget, we are assuming at this time no change in ad valorem taxes. We won't know anything from the appraisal district to just before the next budget workshop. Usually the last working day of the month of July, and we're looking at that being around the 29th. So it makes it awfully tight, but we'll take the recommendations from the appraisal districts and we'll update you at the next workshop. But right now, we're not banking for any change there. On CDBG, right now our CDBG for this year will be on the rural health clinic for the hospital, which is a great value added for the community. I can't argue that. I think it would be a terrific benefit to the community. On Texas Parks and Wildlife, no change. Field lights, still no change on that. I'm still waiting for Shane with that other estimate, but we'll look and seek out a better option on the field lights. One thing I am concerned with is the future of the site, along with all the plans that Eastland ISD is planning. So I wouldn't want to put several $100,000 in the lighting and turn out we're going to move the site. But right now, we put it in, we just need to make sure we're going to stay there. But Eastland ISD and its future, we'll see what their plans are. On the water and sewer rate increases, none. We're looking at, right now, no changes to the convenience fees that are associated with giving by credit card or paying by credit card. And right now, I haven't received any information from EISI about garbage collection rates. They haven't sent us any other proposals, so the garbage collection rates are assumed to be the same. Permits and fees, we'll present permits and fees at the with the new schedule at the next budget workshop. Any questions on the revenue side as far as our assumptions? On expenditures, we built this draft factoring at 3% across the board increase for the employees, this budget definitely can handle that, and one of the things we'll talk about is a request for a parity increase for our firefighters, and I'll explain that when we get into the capital request. As far as the 3% increase, we've got that factored in. We also have the information from TMRS, which includes an increase from 9.09 to 9.53, so that's included in the rates. The one item of really good news appears to be that when we went to the high deductible employee health insurance with the Benny card, it is bearing significant fruit. The benefit cards are not being burned up by the employees, but at the same time, all our employees are managing their health care very well. Haven't had any complaints to speak of. Everybody seems to be getting along with it. And that was a real concern when we decided to try this plan, but it seems to be doing very well, and it reflects in our health insurance costs because we're figuring them for holding. And Leslie and I are both excited about that one. On the electricity, the key cap electrical rates for this year will still remain fairly high, but then we'll enter into the next year behind this when we'll start seeing the savings of the new TCAP rates with our extension. It's going to take us for the next 5 years beyond. So we've got to get through 2016 and 17 before we get to that new rate table, in which case there will be a significant savings next year. On our water rates, right now, the water district in January, they hit us with a whopping 1% increase. And instead of passing that on, given our current rates, we left that alone. Hopefully, we won't be seeing a significant increase in January coming up. We haven't had any signals from the water district, but if I get that, I'll come back and mention that to you at the next workshop. But right now, we're factoring no water and sewer increases, and we think we're going to be able to hold that. Tax discount and gasoline, grease and oil, or gas, no real change. I think we've budgeted for that. We are taking a little bit of risk in gasoline, grease and oil because we're not at that. We don't see ourselves getting back to the historic highs that we had over the last few years. We're not going to see prices on the order of 2011, but we still have a fairly high price of fuel built into the budget, but we're not predicting that historic high. Right. But we don't expect it to stay down where it has over the last 6 to 8 months either, because the oil market's starting to turn around. But we are taking a little risk there, but I think we're in good shape. Workers' comp's not going to be an issue. And so far, we have not heard anything from the county about any changes in dispatch rates. The last major change was in 2013. So far, so good. I haven't even seen it on their their workshop agendas to this stage. As far as our property insurance, one issue where we may see some changes when we get from TML Intergovernmental Risk Pool might be some changes to our property insurance. But as far as the physical property that's on our sheets, it's all accounted for. What we're really concerned with is if there's any statewide increase where the actual cost per item of property goes up. But right now we're not seeing that. But hopefully we'll get some information in the next few weeks, and hopefully include that in the next workshop. As far as our capital request, and our next page is next couple of pages after I'm done with this will be capital request. We're going to go through each of those items there and look at them in a little bit of detail. Bottom line is no, we're not looking at any water and sewer increases for this year. Electricity and gasoline remain high because of market volatility, though we're not anticipating budgeting for historic highs. Otherwise, it would be another $100,000 sitting there in expenditures. If costs rise and adjustments are needed, we'll be able to do that. But right now, I think we've got a solid budget product. If you'll turn the page, any questions on the expenditures? I went through that pretty fast.
That's good.
In that case, let's go to the capital request, and what you see on top is a summary sheet. There was one change in the summary sheet that I had called in, and it was by David Branch on item 6, where there was $2,020 for the tire estimate. That tire estimate has been revised to $2,260, which would make that entire amount in the total request move from $9,020 to $9,260. Now, what you see in the first column is the item cost for each of the items included in capital request, and then the second column is our total cost, and the third column is the staff recommendation and what we've built into it in accordance with that recommendation as far as proposed funding for the capital request. There was a significant amount of capital requests in there, $180,034, and with considering the financing of a couple of items and partial funding for the others, I think we'll have met most of the capital requests. Chief, not putting you on the spot, but you might want to run them through your items 1 through 5. And his data sheets are right behind that, and they're labeled 1 through 5, if you want to follow along.
The first item, I'll go through these quickly, and can answer any questions, is an air purifier for the evidence vault. One of the things that I learned at New Chief School was about evidence vaults, and I never even thought about, but any marijuana, meth, anything like that we keep in our evidence vault has a tendency to bleed over into the airstream, which then goes to the entire department. So their recommendation is that we buy an air purifier for that, so that air is treated inside the evidence vault before it ever leaves. We bought at one time when I first came on.
You said you might have some happy officers.
Yes. Unfortunately, my secretary's a little too happy. That's the reason I'm trying to get this air purifier. The digital camera for the investigator, we bought digital little patrol cameras because the guys were using their cell phones, and that's just horrible practice. So we got them, nice little digital cameras. But we need one good camera setup for the investigator in the event that we have a major crime. If we need to get a processed fingerprint off of a windowsill or something like that, this setup will enable us to be able to take those type of pictures. And it's one of those critical items that, most departments have those things, and I was kind of surprised why we didn't. But anyway, the Stalker radars, those are actually buy 3 and get the 4th one free. So I looked at our radars. The guys were talking about about issues that they were having with the different radar units. There's ways to make sure that it's working out properly because you do a digital read on it and different checks, but they were still complaining about issues that they were having. Our radars for the department are actually 11 plus years and older, and that's crazy. You don't ever keep a radar that long because then you start having problems with it. So Stalker was running a deal where you buy the 3 for the $3,050, and then the 4th one you get free on that deal. So I thought that was a pretty good deal.
And that'll put one in each of our major shift cars.
Yeah.
That way a patrol unit has a brand new radar.
Yeah. The 4th thing, or the 3rd thing is kind of a little misconception. We have body armor, but these are for the external vest carriers. What I want to do is my guys are about to pass out, it's daggum hot, and people have asked me, you're the chief, why do you wear a uniform? I said, because my guys are in uniforms, and if they're gonna sweat, I'm gonna sweat. Now, that doesn't mean I'm gonna be in uniform all the time, but I try to be as much as possible. But the dark color sucks in that sun. This package that I'm looking at will have a couple of short sleeve shirts and a long sleeve shirt, and they're that cool fit material that they can put on. The patches will be put on by the company, and then we'll have a badge put on that. Now, over that, they will wear, and you've probably seen the Highway Patrol wear them, and if you've seen me when I was with the district attorney's office, we had them. It's a sleeveless vest that your vest actually fits into, and it zips on both sides. So when you get hot, you can actually unzip it and vent it out and cool off a little bit. Or if you're at a stable scene where you're not worried about your safety, you're running a search warrant, everybody's contained, you can actually pull the whole thing off, and then you still look like a police officer because you've got that base shirt underneath it. The next item, the grants that we're working on to get that, one of those, the one is more expensive than the other. $12,000 is more because we were actually pricing a K9 unit. That Ford Explorer would be equipped with a K9 unit. If the Colonel and I come to an agreement on that, we're gonna do that. We've got one K9 unit in Cisco right now. That's the Cisco PD officer. The other K9 unit is Jonathan Meacham, who's with the task force, who's fixing to start with us Wednesday. But his dog's getting old. That dog's probably fixing to be retired. The Cisco guy actually lives in Mineral Wells, so we're fixing to be without a K9 completely. So, being selfish, I want to take care of Eastland first, and then we can see about some of these other agencies if they want to, request assistance. We'll be happy to do it on.
So we're moving in the direction to have a K9 unit, dog, officer.
Narcotics.
You've got the officer coming from the DEA group?
I have the officers, I have a certified officer already, and that's Sergeant McDade.
Okay.
He's already certified, he's already done whatever. There's not gonna be any expense to the city initially, because
we're not gonna feed that dog?
well, I mean, we can talk about that, but the expense is gonna be about $8,000 for the dog and the cage. The cage is pretty expensive. If we get the grant, that comes with a cage. That's what we're speccing. So we could maybe get a little bit better dog, but not having to spend $4,000 or half of it on a cage. But there's some people that are wanting to donate that money to the police department. There's actually about 3 or 4 guys right now. 4th guy's kind of up in there, but 3 guys have said, tell me how much I owe and I'll write the check. And all 3 guys, if I told you who they were, you know who they were. They could write the full check for the $8,000.
When we first started talking about the possibility of K9 unit, one of the first things that came out of my mouth is no attack dog.
This is going to be a...
And the only reason we're even considering it is because we had a narcotics bust a few months back, and you were all made aware of it. That would not have happened in this, or we would not have had that positive conclusion if we had not have had a K9 unit come to the scene and an alert on the vehicle. And we were lucky that time. It looks like our options are a little limited if the county's not stepping up and picking up a K9 unit that will give us that capability. So we had to do our diligence and at least explore it as a concept. And the chief's done his homework.
Of course, the advantage is we're going to have first dibs on that K9. My instructions to Sergeant McDade when he was looking for a K9, I said, I want a dog that we can march into the school and every kid there can pet him. And I'm not worried about it. He said, lab. I said, okay, spec him out. So that's what we're doing. We're getting the drive that we need for the narcotics detection and for the training from the lab. The lab's real laid back as far as, hey, come pat me. He'd lick the blood off the knife that stabbed me in the back probably, but that's what I want. I want the dog that's just gonna be people friendly. We don't have to worry about, bites or anything, So at some point in time, yes, I would need some type of very small budget for maybe helping him with food, helping him with the, maybe the vet bills and things like that, so. But the other standpoint is if we don't engage a canine, if we don't take the initiative for us to take care of our own selves, there's nobody else in the county picking up that slack. So, and I don't know the officer in Cisco, I don't know that I know he's made some applications in some different areas, so that guy could potentially be gone. But because he lives in Mineral Wells, we can't even call him after hours because then the delay is too long for him to get there. So we're fixing to be in a bind countywide. So one of the things we can do is we can draft memorandums of understanding that if we go outside the city limits to assist somebody, that if there's a seizure, then we get a certain percentage of that seizure. So there's some benefits on the deal, and obviously there's some, the other reason I picked Sergeant McDade is because he's got a lot of canine experience. In his position as patrol sergeant, he's flexible enough, he's responsible enough to be able to say, look, I can't leave the city. We're in a situation where, I need to stay here. So he's a good, mature officer, so it'd be a good fit for him. And then my other deal's on hold, so.
Well, you probably need to explain it anyway.
Well, one of the things another thing that, this is actually my 6th-month anniversary. I keep finding stuff that I kind of scratch my head about, but the officers are issued a badge like mine is that's on my shirt, and then they're issued an ID card. But then they have to put that ID card in the, wallet or whatever, which is the issue. But the problem is they're off duty. If they don't have, there's not a way for them to carry this big old badge around with them, other than just sticking it in their pocket or putting on a deal. So my thought was to go to a wallet badge, which was about 2 3/4 inches long. That way their credentials, their identification and their badge was self-contained in the wallet, and then they could, if they needed to take police action or identify themselves, all they had to do is reach in and pull out their wallet, which doesn't sound like that big a deal but for us, it's kind of a naked feeling. This is the first department I've ever worked at that didn't have some type of wallet credentials. So, what a big deal. I mean, I know money's tight.
Well, I'm a little bit confused about that. I made notes, the attachment on here from Tiffany Toner is $75. It looks like here, but you've got 96. What am I looking at? What am I missing? That's item number back and behind where you were.
Does that include the $600 setup fee?
No, the three, well, all the options up above that. I'm either reading something wrong or don't know what I'm looking at.
Number 5?
Yeah, number 5, there's a page back there behind, look at that page by the attachment behind it, that's what I'm looking at here. You got number 5, tells you about that, and it's $96, but I turned over and there's a description about the badge prices at $75 down through there.
But the $600 setup fee?
That's option 3.
Oh, I see, okay.
No, that's option 3. We're not going with that. The 70, you've got the $75, and then the balance of that, $96, would be the actual wallet.
Okay.
Yeah, the badge.
The badge is $75 and then the wallet is, okay.
Yeah, and I can,
$21.
I can show you, of course, it's not.
That's fine. I was looking through this trying to find the $96 and I couldn't ever make it match.
This is what we're looking at getting is something similar. Of course, this is the district attorney's badge. But that type of setup, for Frank's familiar with that. Did you guys ever have these type of deals?
Not a wallet.
This ID is pretty standard for police officers, especially at the local level. And then, of course, this is this is bigger bags than what I'm trying to price. The one I'm looking at is about 3/4 this size. So that's what that comes out.
We did have one of
the sheriff's department. We never did have one of those.
Oh, you do have one of those? Yes. Yeah, I mean, this, like I said, this is the first agency I've ever worked at that we didn't have that kind of deal, you know, but, so.
Sounds good to me.
And Captain Branch, David, you want to walk them through items 6, 7, and 8, which are the fire department requests?
Yes, sir. The Scott Air Pack is the same air pack we get every year and have been for several years. It's just to keep the fleet of air packs. That's the pack we wear in our bag and we breathe air out of when we're fighting fire. That is an expensive item, but that's the main item in our capital request. The Engine 6 tires, Engine 6 is our lead out engine. It's got roughly 36,000 miles on it. 36,000 miles on that fire truck. That's the original tires. It's carrying a lot of weight, going around town. It's not something we have to replace right now, but it's getting that direction. I mean, those tires, you got several people drive that truck of all ages, of all truck driving experience, and you're rubbing the curb when you make the corner, and so it's hard on the sidewalls of the tires. It is something that's going to need to be replaced. If we don't do it this year, it's almost going to be a must next year, but I do believe we can make it another year on the tires we've got. The uniforms, the reason I had asked for an increase there.
Wait.
Yes, sir.
Back up.
I'm sorry.
We'll go there. I did want to ask a question about that, the tire part. We have a note out here, to purchase tires in budget. What does that mean?
What I'm recommending is right now, that we have highs and lows in the budget as we get in the mid-year. If it looks like we're having some savings in our other budget accounts where we can spend the $2,260 later on in the year, David or the chief will come and see me and ask for that they go ahead
out of the
current budget.
Okay.
Because the budget has several items of equipment in it, not all of that money is spent, and there might be some. There's usually some savings at mid-year where we can forecast the rest of the year is just say go ahead and purchase the tires. That's the same deal I would make with the chief on the badges.
Well, I didn't know if you're talking about the current budget or next year's budget.
Next year's budget. During the year, by mid-year, when we do mid-year review, we'll decide this budget I'm calling it for this purpose, this budget. At mid-year, if it looks like we've got savings to where we can afford to go ahead and pay and get the new tires, we'll just go ahead and do it. The same thing with the wallet items. Because I actually had too much money requested for the amount of items that I could fund. So I was counting fingers and toes when I got to this level.
Go ahead, Dave.
Okay. As far as the uniforms, I'd asked for some increase there. We hired a fourth firefighter, but we didn't increase the uniform budget last year. Oversight on all of us. So just to fund the fourth firefighter plus would allow me, since I'm working 5 days a week, I'm going to go through my pants, shirts a little faster. It would allow me to be able to buy a couple of extra throughout the year. Engine 6, that's on the maintenance line item. We've been over budget for the last 2 years on that truck, and so I had asked for a $1,000 increase just on the maintenance of that truck. Again, it is getting older. We've had some pump issues last year. We were able to get that fixed, but it did have to go to Denton and to Fort Worth to the cat house. But again, just wear and tear on that first out truck. Janitorial supply, same type of deal. We've got 4 guys in the fire station now. We're halfway through the year, and I believe I'm at $68 in that line item, so it was just a minor increase. Medical supplies increase, same type of thing. We're just running more medical calls. We haven't had an increase in 5 or 6 years, I don't believe, as far as that specific line item. The Ladder 6 principal debt service increase, I had basically put in a 10% increase of what we had been paying. Larry knows, but when we bought the truck, we tried to talk about down the road trying to pay a little extra on that truck because it is financed for, I believe, 30 years. And everything in the house is going to be worn out by the time that truck's paid for. So that was, let's say, just an increase to start trying to pay down the principal of that specific truck. And then the next line, Ron, do you want to discuss that or now or later?
Well, let's go ahead. Well, if you go back in your sheets to item 8, and item 8, during the year, David approached me about, okay, we've got our 4 firefighters, but when you compare a fireman's pay to a police officer's pay at the basic level, we're nowhere near parity. And looking at how much our firefighters were paid, he came up with a formula, and his increase worked out to about $33,000. And looking at it and analyzing, I studied and studied and studied, and I came up with an alternative formula, and the recommendation, I'll get to the recommendation in a little bit, but my recommendation amounts to a little over half that, to about $17,448. What that means is, in addition to the 3% increase, the fireman would actually get a boost that will get him somewhere near parity. For example, David proposed from his current for his current rate that he would move that table at the top right here. That is with a 3% increase. Down below, you would see that there would be about another $2.50 increase above that. What I'm proposing is to split the difference. What will happen is our wages for our firemen will go up, and next year I'm going to try to give them another boost so they're getting closer to parity with the police department. So we're not hiring firemen and losing them because they'll go to another department because their wages are so far below firemen in other places. Did I say that correctly, Dave?
Yes, sir.
And it's not everything they want, but I think it's something we can live with, and that was one of the driving forces, and me counting fingers and toes on the capital request to try to get to that number.
Is that something that is pretty common in other communities around Texas, and having the level of the fireman's pay equal to that of the police officer's pay?
Yes, there's as you get to the bigger cities, there's absolute parity.
Yes.
And the reason is a fireman has to go through fire academy and all those other things, and they have to get through certification. And a fireman goes through basic, advanced, and master qualification, just like a police officer. Obviously, a police officer, you got different training requirements, obviously, but at the same time, if you're expecting to keep qualified firemen, the price does go up. And our pay is lagging when we compare it to the comparable price for an entry-level police officer. This increase will actually get them closer to the mark. It doesn't make up the entire difference, but it does a significant contribution to get them there. And did I answer your question, or did I?
Yeah, I think you said yes, I think, right?
Yes, sir. I said yes, I did not try to go there. Okay. Questions on any of David's? I'm sorry.
One of the things I want to point out that I've brought up to Ron that I think we need to have a discussion for next year and prepare, and also with the vest, bulletproof vest. It's pretty obvious David Branch looks like David Hullum from the neck down. Uniform look the same. If someone were a sniper from 400 yards and wanted to take out somebody in the dark blue uniform, not knowing the difference in a policeman and a fireman, And I think we need to address that and see what's happening in other fire departments. I know the firemen,
There's two items that the recent events have made us think about pretty strongly. The first one you just mentioned. The other is we do not have a ballistic shield in the police department. Never have. If we are actually serious when we do active shooter training and prepare for those situations, or if our policemen actually have to go to a situation where they have to go in and face somebody where they've got to go through the door, I want the first officer going through that door to have a ballistic shield. And so between if we have funding available next year at mid-year review, I want to push to get end-of-year funding for the police department, get a ballistic shield, and yes, we need to get some body armor, at least for the 4 firemen that are going to be expected to go out the door first, and those are our full-time.
If I might, just to update you, I had actually been visiting with Chief Holm last week and have found some plate carriers that I was planning on visiting with Ron tomorrow that I believe I can get out of this budget that would there'd be 2, just for the 2 initial staff that are showing up. And I say Chief Holm and I had visited quite a bit on it last week, and I've done a lot of research and had planned on visiting with Ron on it tomorrow.
And I think, if nothing else, with the CJD grants, knowing what we know now, our next iteration of CJD grants need to be, get some body armor. And because the world's not getting better, it's getting worse.
Yeah, so I'm just curious, how does your performance with that extra vest on when you're fighting a fire, the heat and all the other stuff?
I'm not only wearing it all the time. The one I'm looking at is simple. It's going to be under the seat, and if we respond to a scene that we feel we need it, it goes over your clothes. It's not like the PD wears where it's under your uniform shirt. I'm not going to be fighting fire in it. I'm hot enough in bunker gear. This is strictly if they respond to a shooting and the scene is not safe, or an officer goes down and that item is needed, we don't have it. So it was basically a discussion. I'd rather have it not need it than to need it not have it.
I can tell you, in my support of the fire department's request on that is kind of selfish, because I know, obviously I'm concerned about their safety, but if one of my guys goes down, I know that the fire department guys are gonna go in after him, whether there's bullets flying or not. And I'd like them to be as safe as possible if they're gonna do that, so.
And
I support his request 100%.
And that's going to be the key point, is that when they're needed body armor, in all probability, they're not going to be responding to a fire. They're responding to an incident where he needs extra hands on deck to secure a perimeter. And you don't want to be on a perimeter of anything where people are shooting bullets where you're not having some degree of protection.
And that would go along the same way with the ballistic shield, providing us maximum protection on search warrants, on an active shooter situation. We always talk about active shooter situations being at the school, which is where we're most susceptible. But we could have an active shooter at Walmart. We could have active shooters just about anywhere. The other deal is that when you respond to Sunday's domestics, I wish the whole vehicle was armored, because then you're getting in the middle of people fighting, and they're, then all of a sudden you show up and you give them a common, something to hit at, so anyway, but it just, with the way things are going, if you had asked me about a ballistic shield 5 years ago, I said, well, we don't need a ballistic shield, but now I'm having to change the way I think, and so is everybody else in law enforcement and fire.
And in no way when we're talking about the stuff where we trying to militarize the police department. We're just having our police department have the flexibility to be able to respond and ramp up their capability to the crisis instead of being overwhelmed by the crisis. We've made significant strides in the last few months with our police department I want their toolbox to continue to get better.
Those ballistic shields are around $2,000, they're not real expensive.
That is for a really nice piece of gear. And if the commission is supportive, if we get to the end of the year, if we have funding available, I'll be glad to seek out and buy a couple of these things that we need to get.
I think it'd be money well spent.
And that would be what money well spent. I think we've improved the evidence room. Our evidence room is squared away. Once we get the purifier unit in there, the air purifier, our evidence room is as good as we can get it.
You gotta get that fixed before you get that dog, you drive that dog crazy.
At the risk of dragging us down the time hole, I'll get to the last few items. Item 9 is actually a request from Bobby. In the last couple of years, since we downsized the Parks and Street Department and the Water Department, Bobby has been looking for ways to at least increase our full-time strength so we can do our basic work. And the Parks Department taking over the cemetery and all the other mowing jobs they do, we keep that crew busy. And the Parks Department also is is somebody, that individual would also supplement the street crew when we're doing streets, because our street department is 2 people. So when we actually have to do stuff, what Bobby asked to do with it was to increase that full-time manning, to give us one more individual in the Parks Department, and in return, we would drop off and eliminate 2 of those summer part-time positions. Then the net increase would be $18,896 to make that. Well, it was the estimate was $20,541, and I'll explain in a minute on my recommendations, but that's what that one is. Item 10 is another truck for the Water Department. It is replacing one of our vehicles that has had major maintenance problems ever since we got it, and if this vehicle is purchased, we will definitely sell that one in our property sale. The other item, the last item, is something I didn't want to do, but I feel like we're compelled to do it, and that is upgrade our automatic meter reading system to the census analytic cloud-based server. Right now, our server is hidden in the back room of this building, in an air-conditioned room, and what we found out about it is 7 years old, and the company is already eliminating maintenance support for it because they're going to a cloud-based system. Some cities 8, 9 years into use of that server have had those servers crash. The last thing we need is a server crash. Going to the cloud-based system, we'll never have to deal with server crash again.
What about on your cloud-based server, you're paying for this over 5 years, right?
Yes, sir.
What's gonna happen in that 5 years?
We will have financed the cloud-based server. We'll continue to pay support fees, and those support fees will be year to year to year to year. This would finance our initial transition to the cloud-based server with all the train up, all the spin up, and all the changeover in hardware and software.
But will the cloud stay? Are they giving you something that's gonna upgrade that cloud and the technology of that cloud as time goes on, or what we buy now, we've got to upgrade later?
Well,
Same thing, what we buy now, we have to upgrade later. I mean, it's like every computer you buy.
It's a never-ending battle.
System you buy. Every system you buy. I mean, in the 7 years since we bought our system, it's become obsolete. I mean, it's just like all the technology changes so quickly that what you buy now is, you know,
What we're
it's
facing
going to
here.
be obsolete in at least 7 years, basically.
Basically, what Leslie and I discussed was what we're facing here is our server being obsolete, and yes, we could get it out, but if we have a major brain dump or a crash, they won't be able to store our data.
No, it's, no, I
It-
I agree, I just wonder what's gonna happen down the road and what they're telling us
Well,
with
you
the
know,
technologies as we move forward, because you got software-defined network and all
this is
that.
the hottest, latest thing right
Oh, I
now.
know.
This is the latest that they.
Do we have to change the meters out at each?
No, not the
This is
meters.
strictly,
This is for the data storage.
and one of the things, and the estimate was including our handhelds, and it, and we dropped that off because we can continue to use the same handheld. But the handhelds are only there as a backup if we have an antenna failure at the meter.
Well,
Right
they
now,
use those handhelds to program new meters that they put in and that they switch out. I mean, that is a vital, the handhelds are a vital part of the whole system, but they don't have to be upgraded. They still will
They
work
still
with what
support.
we've got.
Usually in a cloud-based environment, they'll change out servers themselves from year to year, or just on a needs base, and everybody's annual fee goes in to cover all of that, those expenses.
And we're going to
You
be
as
paying
the end
that.
user will never know they changed out a server on their end, being the cloud.
And we hope that is absolutely the case, because right now, the estimate includes the startup cost, and then there's an annual fee that we're gonna have to do, and our annual fees definitely go up.
Well,
But,
once you pay the startup cost and you get on the cloud, I'm just curious what they're telling us will be the future. Past that 5 years, you paid the startup cost, now you're gonna continue to pay a $2,500 a year, access fees or $5,000 or whatever it will be. I didn't know what they were telling us.
25 is the maintenance fee.
There's two of those line items that are 2 years. The
No, that
annual,
means it doesn't start until the second year. We don't have to pay.
but all those are annual then?
Yes.
So we're,
Yeah, that bottom part, that $25,000, that doesn't start until the second year after you make.
What is
the
our, do you know what our current annual, that we're putting toward it?
About $9,000.
So that's an increase.
That's a huge increase.
it's gonna be.
Because we don't physically have the equipment. They do.
The other alternative is to buy a new server.
They don't even, they didn't even offer us that.
They're not gonna support it anymore.
Right.
Okay.
We're talking about 25.
Yeah, that wasn't wrong, they didn't even offer that. That's what I thought when we started talking about, you know, that it was time for us to upgrade. I thought we were gonna get a new piece of equipment back here. I didn't realize that the whole game had changed. Until he sent us the proposal, and then I nearly fell off my chair.
I grilled the representative pretty hard because I just said, you know, we've only had this system for 7 years, and you're already telling us our server's obsolete, you know? But it was, but you know, and I know that technology is such. Computer technology is changing basically every 6 months. A new technology comes on board, it makes the previous year's model obsolete. They're much more, they reach obsolescence much faster than cars.
Everybody is trying to go to subscription-based
Cloud-based systems.
So like your Microsoft Office, instead of you buying the software, they want you to get a subscription where you pay an annual fee. Adobe Photoshop's doing the same thing. Everybody is going to subscription-based. Look at your Spotify streaming music or Netflix. All of it's a monthly subscription.
Oh, yeah, because that helps them maintain the cloud.
Well, and we even, I mean, you kind of feel like, once you get on this treadmill of this automatic meter reading,
Yes, they are.
you can jump off if you want to, but you're gonna lose our automatic meter reading. If we said, you know, we just can't do this.
Yep.
You're gonna lose the automatic meter reading, someone's gonna have to physically go back to reading meters. We're gonna lose the interface with our customers, where we can look at their use.
The only alternative is to go with another competitor.
And then that, who knows what kind of nightmare that would be, because then you have to change out the equipment that's on your meter. Because the antenna that's on your meters works with this.
Yeah.
So you're kind of,
A new competitor would have to be all new meter antennas.
maybe you could keep the
We
meter,
won't
but you
have
have
any
to change
fees
out all
beyond
the
this for this year, but after a couple of
So we did look at that, I mean, it's like, this is gonna be a never-ending thing.
So, Aquameter, who's their nearest competitor, do you know?
Yes, but I can't think of it right off the top of my head, I think.
So next year I'll budget.
Is Aquameter,
It's Chris with Data something, because he calls me periodically to see how.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So.
I think it's Data Madison.
is this company superior to that one?
They have been
How are you gonna pay for it?
rated better. At the time that we bought, we went through a lot of this, and they were rated the best at the time that we bought. And I think they've continued to stay a little bit ahead of the game as far as most cities are concerned.
I know it's expensive. It is expensive. And Leslie, what I was pointing out to the mayor in our side conversation, when he was asking about the recurring cost bill, is, yes, the price of the recurring fees has definitely gone up.
Yeah, I said that.
But that's in year 2, not year 5.
No, well, we've been paying an annual maintenance fee for the past few years.
I know, we're gonna pay $42,000 now, and then next year, we're gonna add a $26,000 tab on top of that.
Right.
It's a chunk.
We've been paying around $9,000.
So that's a difference of,
About
But
15.
that's an annual price right there.
Right, we've been paying
We're paying
$9,000.
And we had it built in our budget up to, including it in this project, in this proposal. We stripped that out as one of our costs we could strip out for this year is at $9,000. But next year it returns with $15,000 behind it. I don't like it, but
It costs us $35,000.
well, it's gonna cost us 25. That's gonna become our new recurring cost of 25 as opposed to the 9. It's a whopper.
Yeah, I mean, what do you?
But we saved all that money on lost water, right?
Oh, you bet you we did, especially when we had drought.
Am I gonna get that report
When we
someday?
had a drought and we couldn't.
Am I gonna
sell
get that
any
report
water.
someday?
No, you're not, Larry, you know that. You know, we had a year when it rained and we
Well,
didn't sell any water, and then we had a drought and we couldn't sell any water, so I mean, how, it's just.
I am not the police chief, so I won't give you my start date when I enter this discussion. However, this event does precede my arrival in it, but it seems to be the best position to move forward with a bad deal.
But
As far as the,
I will say
as
this.
far as the cloud-based system, it seems like the right way to go, even though.
Well,
I
whether
don't
we
like the
got the
expenses.
automatic meter reading system or not, we still would have had to replace all of our meters, because we were already at 20 years.
That was a big chunk of it. That's
So
what you
that
said.
was gonna
But
happen.
we
no
paid
matter
for
what.
all that because of the lost water we don't have anymore.
No, we didn't pay for the meters. The system.
No, we
The
do have
system.
better accountability for water than a city that has old meters in the ground. And we do have better situation awareness, account by account, on where that water's going and who's got a leak and who doesn't, all that stuff. We do have that. As far as coming up with this great savings that was advertised when they sold the system, I would have a hard time saying that.
Back on task.
Now, having said that,
Yes,
Are we through?
well, we're close. I'm going to explain my recommendations.
John has a
and then we'll
question.
proceed.
I've been trying to ask this for 10 minutes. Back to item 6.
Back to item 6.
This is a dumb question, I'm sure.
No dumb question.
6. 6?
Yes.
Yeah, well, like I said, I've been trying to ask it for a long time.
Yes, sir.
Is there, I'm sure I know the answer to this, is there any loophole in the hotel motel tax laws that would make it where we could buy tires
No.
for the fire truck? They go to all the events.
Fire truck. If we go that the fire truck is a heads and beds advertising device, yes.
I hated
A ladder truck. Our ladder truck is a mobile flagpole for parades and other
It's
events.
just, we see it everywhere. I hate it that we can give $10,000 for an archery shoe, this is my opinion, I'm not speaking for the board, but we can't spend $2,000 on fire truck tires. It just,
Without dealing with the intricacies of hotel motel taxes,
There's no-
how about let me figure out with end of year funding if I can afford a set of tires? Okay, and that probably is a safer option. Because with that hotel motel taxes is an area where we pride ourselves in doing it right.
Yeah, my vote.
On the recommendations, I tried to play Solomon as best I can and divide the baby. There are some issues where I couldn't divide the baby quite as well as I should. My recommendation is we fully fund the item 1, we fully fund item 2 and item 3. We hold item 4, which is the 2 vehicles, subject to approval of the grants. If the grants are approved after the budget year begins, my recommendation is that we make a commitment to draw these funds out of reserves to cover that cost. Otherwise, nothing ventured, nothing gained. On the item 6, or item 5, that can be end of year this year or mid-year review next year. We'll figure out a way to fund that with funds available. But right now, let's not commit ourselves to that $960. Why? Because I was counting fingers and toes and 960 fingers. On the tires, again, if we have funds at the end of the year, I'm more than willing to buy a set of tires for engine 6. Otherwise, at mid-year, we'll pull the trigger on that with funds available. I left item 7 alone. We'll live within the current budget with those items and continue to pay our debt principal as programmed. On item 8, I think this is a priority project because we do need to get our firemen near parity, and that $17,448 that I've programmed in gets you closer to the target. It doesn't get them all the way up to where the base officer is, or it doesn't make Davey fully one-for-one with the police lieutenant, but it does bring them near parity. It brings them in the same neighborhood. On the parks, fund the parks equipment, the parks personnel, and on the last 2 items, the truck and the automated cloud-based server, we financed through government capital. And I have built the payments into the budget right now.
I'll add one thing.
Yes,
just for
ma'am.
information. The number 10, the pickup, is replacing a 2007 vehicle.
And that 2007 has not performed up to expectations.
Would this be a 2016 vehicle?
This will be a 2016 diesel, which gives it a lot more use on the job site because a lot of times we'll have to run those vehicles and it'll sit there idling for a long period of time when they're running lights and everything else when they're on the job site. It will give us more staying power.
As you're looking at your budget for this year, as you finish, I'm talking about the current. we're in
Yes, sir.
right now. As you're looking at that, it looks like we're gonna make some of these budgets, and the people have done a good job of controlling their expenses and done that. Then I would like to see us knock some of that out of all, not just the tires, but some of these other things we talked about. If you have the opportunity, it's a good reward for those departments that manage to make their budget, they get some things they want.
Well, I suggest we make that decision in the beginning of September timeframe. After we close August, we'll know how much money we've got available and whether or not we're going to have the flex to do that, and we can pull the trigger and buy a couple of those things.
That's your decision, you gotta figure that out. It'd be good if we can do it.
But I'll come back to the city commission with that, because remember, in that projected line, that was at mid-year when we were doing that projection as we started this budget process. When the budget book is actually printed, it will have brought that projection as far forward as possible. hopefully, when we have the end of July and into August figures, we'll still have some savings there to do that. But that's where we are as far as the budget workshop, subject to your questions. And I wasn't trying to be flippant about.
I know you
truck matters.
He's trying to keep himself out of jail.
Yes, sir. Now, I certainly don't want to do it live on camera on TV. Oh, yeah, we're going to do that.
Well, I've got no further questions.
And I do hold our ladder truck in higher regard than that, because if we ever want to question the importance of that ladder truck, take a look at the Shady Oaks fire and how many things melted on the ladder trucks because it was right above that heat for that period of time. It'll pay for itself when we have the big event, and we've had a couple.
I have one more thing I just want to share before we're done. It can wait till everything's done and then just right before we walk out.
Okay. That means he's got a
Concerning
cherry
what?
bomb he's going to throw off. No,
Concerning what?
I don't know. It's a
Some of the
surprise.
stuff the volunteers have done over the last year.
Okay, we'll let you do that with our report.
Okay, any other questions on the budget workshop? Subject to your questions, that's all I have for right now. If you got some other guidance for me or some other information that you want me to bring to the next budget workshop as far as more detail, I'm gonna try to give you as much detail as humanly possible so you're making the best quality decision.
Thanks, John.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
And I wasn't saying that's all the fire truck did, I was saying there's a way to justify it.
Yes. And obviously, that ladder truck is a heck of an asset.
Yeah.
And so is engine 6, because engine 6 is the first one out the door.
I don't know.
Yes, sir?
I don't know where it is. I don't know where it is. But it was brown, so you come back, let me find it.
And I have some highlighted spots on it. If you want to go to, handout attachment 3 just basically discusses the fact that our appraisal values aren't much different as of May. If you go to enclosure 4, and you take a look and you compare the fiscal year budget to budget from last year to this year, you'll notice in the general fund, we're talking about $3,330,717 versus $3,269,532. On the revenue side, administration, for each of those, you'll see your administration went up, and that basically was tied to your higher fees to the state with our increase in some of our citations that is doing well. Some of our changes in municipal court and the police department. The biggest thing in the police department changed was the in revenue was the animal control done, and that chunk of revenue that was tied to building maintenance went down. In the fire department, you'll see an increase in as far as the firefighters and our expenses. Electricity at the airport is what's driving that number, because we built a new terminal, so it essentially doubled their budget from the 11,000 to 21,000, because that building is sucking up a lot more electricity than the little mobile home we used to have there. And then our special projects fund makes the public works number look a little bulky. If you go down into our expenses in the utility fund, basically our debt service went up slightly, and in our water department and administration, our special projects. That's what makes those numbers look like they're bulging. There's that we added no fact on any of those items. As far as if we want to go through specific departmental budgets, I am.
I just had one thing caught my eye.
Okay.
I know that I want to bring it up, but I think I should.
Department?
It's the revenue, right there where you are.
Okay.
It's the revenue, tab 5, revenue.
Okay.
Down under fines and fees. We've jumped the fines and fees up to $135,000.
Yes, sir, and that's based upon our projections over the last 4 months. We're actually that is not any effort on our part to make money. It is simply an acknowledgement that we're actually doing enforcement, and that is a realistic figure given the reports that we've gotten the last 4 to 5 months.
Well,
And if you'll notice in it says in the margin that that's we're not using March figures, which was used for some of these projections. That's using figures from May,
Why does
projecting out to the end of the year.
Why does your end of year show 71,000?
Because that's just a formula that doubles the 35,699. Because that was a 6-month figure year-to-date as of March, and the formula just doubled it for the projected, but I actually used May to come up with the proposal.
And we went, and I went through those figures several times, and I feel strongly that those figures are accurate.
I did make sure that.
Oh, yeah, I mean, when I was going through that, I would have been remiss if I hadn't calculated, but it just should, when we get to the police report, we're gonna see some things.
Well, you'll also see on the expense side of the municipal court that the proposed amount that we pay, the state fees went up accordingly with the revenue.
It went up, not accordingly.
Well, it's a piece of it, it will.
I know a piece of it went up, it's fine. I want to look at that, to see if it was something that changed in our whole deal.
No, it's it is an acknowledgement that our enforcement of by the police department has definitely.
Any other budget workshop questions? We will move on. Board of City Commission reconvene in executive session in accordance with local government code 551.074 personnel matters, and we will do that at this time, and it is, what's that say, 7:57?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.